I don't care all the things you do, all the biohacking stuff that I do, none of it matters as a business owner trying to perform at my best if my sleep is not dialed in. And this has helped me exponentially. When it's working right, my sleep is exponentially better than it is when I'm not using that. When I travel, same thing. When I don't have something that cools the bed, down to, even with fans, even with the AC lowered, I just do not sleep as well. And I have years of data at this point to verify and validate that. Welcome back to Startup U TV. Let's go ahead and get into it. But one of the first videos that I did that performed well and actually ranked really high was my Ooler video. So I'm going to link that here so you can go check out what I said there. My opinion about it has changed slightly. And I'm going to tell you why it's changed and my experience about why it's changed, but also maybe why you still want to consider it, just kind of knowing there's a caveat involved with that. And I'm also going to tell you about another option that I use now called 8 Sleep. Full disclosure, they do sponsor me, and I have some gripes with them too. So I'm going to be a complete straight shooter on both fronts here. But as it relates to the Ooler specifically, I just ran into too many issues is really what it comes down to. So I'm going to give you, I have 5 that I've outlined that I'm going to go through. The concept in theory is fantastic. Being able to have temperature regulation to have your sleep really maximize is going to help you if you're a business owner specifically, because performance the core of that, it starts with good foundation of sleep. I don't care how much coffee you drink. I don't care supplements. I don't care all the things you do, all the biohacking stuff that I do. None of it matters as a business owner trying to perform at my best if my sleep is not dialed in. And this has helped me exponentially. When it's working right, my sleep is exponentially better than it is when I'm not using that. When I travel, same thing. When I don't have something that cools the bed, down to, even with fans, even with the AC lowered, I just do not sleep as well. And I have years of data at this point to verify and validate that. So let's jump into why I sold the Ooler, starting with reason number 1. So I actually had to get numerous replacements for this device, and that's not ideal. In fact, I had to replace both units itself on multiple occasions. So they would just get clogged or just go out or just stop working right. And it was just a huge pain to go through the whole process of like having another one sent out and sending the other one back in. You know, they just don't have time for that. It's just really a nuisance. They also had to replace the cover at one point too. So I would say within about a year and a half, maybe 3 or 4 replacements of some part that was involved with that. I said in my comparison video when I talked about 8 Sleep, the 8 Sleep just feels more well-built, more well-constructed. The Ooler feels a little cheap in some areas. It just doesn't feel like a well-built product. And maybe that's not a fair assessment, but that's how it feels, and that's how I kind of interpreted or received it. I live in Texas and the water's pretty hard here. It's very mineral dense. And so maybe that had a lot to do with it. But I felt like the instructions and the process of going through all those things and kind of the onboarding aspect of things, it didn't really tell you what needed to be done to prevent those issues from happening. Now, kudos to Ooler, kudos to Chili Sleep. They did replace those. And I didn't have to pay anything for that, nor did I have to pay for shipping to return those items. But it's still a pain in the butt to have to be going back and forth and replacing it and resetting it up and doing all the things you have to do. Again, first world problems, but still huge pain, not ideal. Okay, so reason number 2, and this kind of ties into reason number 1, it requires routine maintenance. And so of all the things going on in your life, you probably just don't want to have to be on top of it as much as you have to be on top of it with an Ooler. You've got to make sure you've got distilled water. Okay, no big deal. You've got to make sure that you've got their cleansing solution, which they don't send with it, nor do they advise you, at least at that time, nor did they advise me to utilize that. So I was just putting in distilled water, but unfortunately you would still build up junk and mold, I suppose, or something in there, which is probably not good for human health. But you need a solution to clean that there. And again, that was kind of missing from that onboarding process. So I tell people now, you've got to plan for once a month. You've got to do a full dump, meaning you've got to turn it upside down in the sink. You'll see gunk and algae and all kind of stuff come out of there, and you've got to reflush the entire system once a month. It is what it is. It takes like 5 to 10 minutes, but if you don't stay on top of that, you're going to run to problem number 1 that I cited, which is having to replace units, and that's just kind of what I found to be the case. All right, reason number 3, and this is really going to compare to the 8 Sleep specifically, but you can't schedule, and maybe this has changed, but at the time I'm recording this, and this was my experience with it, at certain periods of the night, you kind of want the temperature to adjust. When you go to sleep and you've been, up doing things and taking hot showers and getting ready for bed and all this stuff, like you're a little bit hotter, right? But as your body calms down throughout the night, your body temperature lowers. You want the 8 Sleep or the Ooler, something that cools your bed, to kind of adjust accordingly. I found myself waking up a lot with the Ooler. That does not happen now with the 8 Sleep because the 8 Sleep has something called autopilot, and it actually adjusts. So it helps you maximize the different stages of sleep because it has biometric tools that read what stage of sleep you're actually in. So I can sleep through the night, whereas with Ooler, I woke up a lot. It was very consistent. 3 a.m., I was just too cold. I woke up shivering. That never happens with the 8 Sleep, but it's because it doesn't have that additional benefit of even being able to set a certain temperature that lasts throughout the night. So maybe you have trouble going to sleep. It's going to help you there, but you also might wake up shivering in the middle of the night. Okay, reason number 4. I felt, and I talked about this in my video, I kind of felt like the cover was a little flimsy. It had a little strap that went around the corner of each side of your bed, each corner of the bed, and it came off a lot. It just didn't feel like a really durable product. And once I got my 8 Sleep, that like zippers onto the mattress, and it's on there. It feels like like it's part of the bed. I didn't get that. It would like move around, and it would, you had to kind of readjust it, and whatever. It's not a big deal. Again, routine maintenance kind of thing, but even the connections and stuff like that, it just didn't feel as durable, as I mentioned, as something like the 8 Sleep. And for the price point of what they're asking for it, I just expected more. And so that ended up being a part of the decision to move on from the product. All right, and reason number 5, and this was the deal breaker for me. I would have stayed really consistent. Support is absolutely terrible. And I've seen a lot of people complain. That's their number one complaint about the Ooler specifically. Maybe it's Chili Sleep is just growing too fast. I don't know what's going on. I've seen them make a concerted effort. I'm seeing them run advertising, and they're now sponsoring podcasts and doing other things. So I hope that that's improved. My experience was very terrible. I remember back and forth phone calls and like emailing and just waiting days and days and days. And you've got these products you're trying to send back and forth and figure stuff out. It just was not ideal. It was very, very hard to get in touch with somebody. Now my experience with 8 Sleep in that regard has been completely different. Although I've had problems with my 8 Sleep, and I have had full transparency. I've had to replace the tower itself, the unit itself, and I had to replace one of the toppers because it leaked. And I don't know why, but it did leak. And I woke up in a pool of water in my bed. So I've had a similar problem with 8 Sleep as I've had with replacements with Ooler. So again, it kind of goes back to what I said about new technology. They just haven't mastered it yet. Nobody has mastered it just yet. But if your support is good, if I can count on you to get in touch and let me know what's going on and so on and so forth, then I can kind of give you some margin there, right? I can kind of be a little bit more understanding. But when your support is terrible on top of those other issues, I'm kind of out on that. Okay, but here are a couple bonuses. Here's a couple pros if you still want to consider this device. And I absolutely think I have seen extremely positive benefits from using devices like this, performance related, as a business owner. It's super, super helpful. So if that's you absolutely still want to consider something like this. So here are some pros. I talked about a lot of pros of the 8 Sleep. Let me talk about some things that I prefer over the Ooler. And I will do a follow-up 8 Sleep video as well, because it's kind of due for me to do that. And I'll give more of my updated experience with that, not just an unboxing video. But number 1 is that you can go analog with the Ooler, meaning you don't have to be connected to your smartphone. You don't have to have the app. There's a button literally on the device itself. You can just change whatever you want. You can turn it on, you can turn it off. There is a Bluetooth enablement, so you can just connect to it that way. There is an app, and I like their app. Ooler's app is pretty seamless. It's really simple. And I like that part of it, but you don't have to have it. It doesn't have to be connected to Wi-Fi. Something with 8 Sleep that I do not like at all is I'm trying to get away from EMFs. I don't want more fields around me because it has been found to potentially impact your sleep, meaning Wi-Fi and stuff like that. In fact, some of the big biohacking experts say turn your Wi-Fi off completely at night, meaning your router, your modem, everything. With 8 Sleep, not only do you have to have it on and connected to the app for it to even work, it won't even work, can't even turn on. There's no buttons on at all. There's no analog buttons whatsoever on the 8 Sleep. Ooler, you can do that. But on the flip side, you've got to have the Wi-Fi unit, meaning your router, really, really close. I had to buy an extender to have it closer to my bedroom just so I could operate my 8 Sleep. That's not ideal at all. So positive, big plus to Ooler on that regard, being able to just run it as it is, and you do not have to have, sometimes I didn't even turn the app at all. So literally I could just hit power and go for it. So again, probably a benefit if you're looking forward to just having simplistic, as simplistic as possible, not have to worry about having all these digital connections and apps and stuff like that. Okay, and then another positive. So positive number 2 for the Ooler is Ooler seems to be making noise in the world. I talked about before, they're running ads, they're doing a lot of things. It seems like they're really making a lot of progress in the development of their product. Other products that I've seen, I haven't even seen any ads for bed yet. I have barely seen anything for 8 Sleep, even though I'm one of their affiliates. And 8 Sleep, they're kind of new. I think they just did their Series A, so they're a relatively newer company, and I like the direction they're going. That's why I align myself and my brand with them, because I believe in what they're trying to accomplish, and I do think that there needs to be a device that does all the things that they're trying to do. So all in all, huge believer in what they're doing. But right now, I think I would give a slight edge to Chili Sleep. They've been doing it longer. I think that they're starting to build a more robust team to be able to accommodate some of these support issues and product issues that they've experienced. So something to look into. The product may have, my brother bought one since, has actually now owns an Ooler and has had no problems with it at all. And this was as of the last 2 or 3 months. So it's possible that things have improved even in a very short period of time. And then reason number 3 to consider Ooler over something like an 8 Sleep is it's vastly cheaper. You can really get in the door. They run a lot of deals and discounts and stuff like that. Also, another big benefit is you can kind of just modify it for your bed specifically. One of the things we found with 8 Sleep is it really does change how your bed feels. When you look at something like Ooler, it is such a flimsy product, and maybe that's by design, that just covers your bed because you still get to utilize and feel the comfort of your mattress. Something that we found with 8 Sleep, although it does feel like a more durable and sturdy product, it really changes how your bed feels. So you've got to be kind of like, I'm willing to sacrifice some comfort for the benefit of maybe having better sleep, but my wife really struggled with that because she likes more of a softer bed, and this is definitely firmer with something like 8 Sleep. Ooler, she didn't have that problem at all. So definitely a positive to consider there. If you're the type of person that requires a really soft, fluffy bed to sleep, might still be a great option for you. All right, hope you got awesome value out of this video. Keep me posted if you decide to buy the Ooler and how your experience goes. I have 3 things you can do as a next to-do steps here. First is you can download my ultimate startup checklist. 100% free resource, tells you everything you need to be doing in your business from womb to tomb if you are just starting out. There's a lot of things to do to start a business. This gives you everything you need to do in the order that I think you should be doing it to successfully start your business. Number 2, you can take my what type of business should you start quiz. A lot of people know what kind of business, what industry they want to be in, or kind of the idea of what they want to do for their business, but they don't know the best business model for themselves, right? This is going to tell you what I think is the best business for you, the best business type for you, and give you some tips about things to consider and how to build a life around your business, not a business around your life. And then number 3 is how to market and sell your business online. So a lot of people are now moving into the digital age and they want to know how to sell their product or service online because they've done it maybe word of mouth and stuff like that, but they know there's huge opportunity in the digital space to do exactly that, to sell more and to scale completely using online tools like social media and so on and so forth, webinars, etc. So you can check that out. It's a really powerful class, about 35 to 40 minutes. That link, as well as the other links, are included below. And I'll see you guys in the next one.